special guest. You probably have heard him on radio. He's in 2 radio markets. His show, Makes Me Wanna Holler, is on Magic FM Saturday mornings. He is also a prominent writer at the Kansas City Call. For how long, Mr. Wesson?
I have been there for 11 years.
Awesome. We'd like to welcome you to the show today, Mr. Eric Wesson, and hopefully to talk about some issues of importance that our viewers can learn. I certainly will be learning myself.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Let's start with what you're working on currently. What can our viewers hope or expect to see or hear from you this week, your radio and your newspaper?
Well, this week's articles, of course, are about Kansas City Public Schools. I just finished that article. I did one on Chuck Bird building a new transfer station out in South Kansas City. He's using an African-American general contractor. A lot of times people say that we don't have the capacity or the bonding to do major projects. So Diggs Construction is doing that project. So that
will this extend the bus line to say Grandview or?
No, it's a transfer station. It's for recycling.
Oh, recycling. Okay.
Chuck Bird owns Jim's Disposal trash service. So he's doing a transfer station which will help with recycling because we're running out of land space for landfill. So he's trying to get people to recycle so that therefore we'll still have land.
Now, Mr. Wesson, learning from reading the Star, and I look forward to reading the Call article as well. We are below average, the Kansas City School District and Hickman Middle School District, below proficient in math and English, middle school and elementary school. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm. We're below.
We're higher than last year, but we still have room to improve. What else did your story uncover there?
Well, the district tried to spin and say, well, you know, the test scores are down because this is the first time the kids have taken a test, and a lot of kids didn't have computers and yada yada, you know, the typical excuses. But the bottom line is that school districts across the state excelled. Mm-hmm. So why do we have a constant excuse about why African-American children aren't advancing or excelling in school?
No more excuses necessary.
No more excuses.
Now, where do you see the Kansas City School District going with the need for a new superintendent?
I think it'll be the same old, same old. Somebody will come in here, stay for a couple of years, get $1 million or so, and then ride off into the sunset. In the meanwhile, our kids aren't functioning. You know, one of the interesting test scores that I watched was Martin Luther King Junior High School. 2% of the kids are proficient in math. So that means that 98% of the kids in that school can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And these are the kids and the young people that when you go into a grocery store, they're going to be counting out your change. Mm-hmm. And they can't count. And that is to me, that's pathetic.
That makes me very sad because when I was in middle school, my mom was a math and science teacher at Martin Luther King under Principal Dr. Hempstead, and that just makes me sad to hear that, Mr. Wesson. 2%.
2% are proficient. That means 98% of the kids in that school cannot add, subtract, multiply, or divide.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about crime, Mr. Forte. Are you pleased with how we have responded to, I guess, mini crisis with the Rock the Block Fest? We had fights break out and the Plaza situation. We really haven't had any national police situations like Ferguson or Texas. What was your general commentary on policing and the whole community, not just African American?
Well, I don't know if we haven't had any situations like Ferguson, but I think that they've managed the situations that have taken place here a lot better, and they've kind of flown under the radar. I think in the weeks to come, the story that people will be paying attention to is going to be Ryan Stokes, who was an African-American male that was killed out behind the Power and Light District back in 2013. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that movement is starting to get some footholds now. But as far as...
A couple of different stories out about that.
Yeah.
How it happened.
Yeah, and I'm researching one now. And the story, I wrote about it back in 2013 in some detail, But the interesting aspect of it to me is giving the police officers, recently they received medals for public service
Really?
or saving, yeah. And I kind of had a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you've got a situation where you've got somebody on a bus and they're holding guns to kids' heads or little children's heads and they're getting ready to do something like that, I think that and a police officer intervenes, diffuses a situation, or has to actually kill somebody, I think that it warrants an award or a medal or something. But to shoot an unarmed man that's fleeing a scene where nobody's in any imminent danger, I think that's a bit much.
And shoot and kill him, not just
Yeah,
maim him.
yeah, he killed him. He shot him in the back, and I really have a problem with that. And the rock the block, I think that goes back to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why is your kid there and you're across the street at the concert? And, you know, if you look at the two, when the Rock the Block was going on, so was the Whisper concert. So I would be willing to wager a month's salary that some of them parents were over there at the Parade Park concert.
Or at least brief your child before they leave on how proper behavior. And if I get a call from the police, that's not going to happen.
Well, I'm a little old-fashioned. Take your kid and you there with your kid. You don't have to worry about anybody calling you.
Oh, it's a family event. Okay.
Yeah. Rock the Block was family.
Now, my dad says that in terms of crime, especially in South Kansas City, and we could probably spend a whole month on just the transformation of South Kansas City. I was a resident of South Kansas City since like my birth, but in terms of the crime developing in the Ruskin Hickman Middle School District, he kind of attributes it to lack of jobs, lack of economic development opportunity. Now we know we have the investment in the old Bannister Mall area, but economic development in general in the minority community, where do you see it going with the new Kansas City City Council?
I think the jury's going to be out because at the end of the day, they have to find the money for these projects.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, we have to have
money in our community.
We have projects. Does anybody have a project?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, we complain about what's not done and what's not being done. And we know we don't want this and we don't want that. What do we want? What is the alternative? And I often say that when I go to meetings. What's the alternative? If you don't want a hotel and you don't want the jobs associated with the hotel, then what do you want? And a lot of times we complain about things, but we don't have a plan. And I think economic development in our community is like limited on who's got a plan that's shovel ready, that can get financing, that has a developer to come in and do it, that has a general contractor that'll come in and do it. And most of the time we draw on a blank. So, you know, Ollie Gates can't build a urban core by himself. You know, he's got money, of course, and he's got a vision on what it's going to look like. But at one point in time, we're all going to have to step up and help, or have some kind of idea about what we want to do and how we want to do it.
That'll make a good editorial. I hope you don't mind me borrowing that. I might use that in a couple of weeks.
Sure, just make sure you credit it to me.
Okay, all right, Mr. Wesson, I won't forget. I would like to do some reflections on an article that appeared May the 9th in, was it The Pitch? Miss Gina Kaufman interviewed you, and she had parallels of Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. You had 3 points in here that I just wanted to have you reflect on.
That was KCUR.
KCUR, excuse me. You talked about integration. As a teenager, you were one of the first African-American students attending Southwest High School.
Yes.
You said you all stood together, we all knew each other. If one went to the bathroom, we all go to the bathroom. Was it really that tight of a clique?
Yeah.
Are you still in touch with each other today?
You know what? I'm in touch with 3. All the rest of them have died.
Wow.
Yeah, they have
12.
died. Yeah, they have died. But me, Linda, and Michael, Mike lives in California now.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry Wright is still around. I see her every now and then. But out of my graduating class, the rest of them have either been killed or died or vanished.
Mm-hmm. Now, how receptive are the white students, your classmates, now versus then? Do you go to your reunions or they're like, hey, that's Mr. Wesson?
I haven't been. No, they were like It was very, very, very racist. They had a group they called the Greasers. They were the gang, and they used to like give us the blues.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's moving.
And so it's like it's totally interesting to see how it's transformed from a predominantly white school now back then to a predominantly black school now in that same Warnell neighborhood area. It's
Now,
really
now you have
interesting.
children too. Yeah.
Yes, I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay.
And I have a 28-year-old and I have a 19-year-old stepdaughter.
Okay. Now, also in this article, you talked about going to Morehouse in Atlanta, and the Atlanta's progressive community. You said it was a shock seeing African Americans, especially young ones, that were progressing, that were making money, were driving nice cars, were owning business. I just want to ask you, were these second, third generation wealthy students, or?
These were just people out that saw a vision and a need. And one of the young men that was interesting for me to talk to, we were talking about set-asides and goals and minority participation. And I told him, well, in Kansas City, they have 15% that goes to black businesses or minority businesses. And he looked at me and he said, so who gets the other 85%? And it was like, wow, now that is a profound thought. Who does get it? And so down there is no divide the pie. They try to get the whole pie. And it's a lot of young guys that have construction companies. There's a lot of young guys that have businesses, you know, on the rail line, the subway line that they have there. They have businesses where they started little small stores. When people get off, they come in, buy something to drink, and do some other things. So
Now, who was
that
mayor
was
when you were done there? Was Mayor Mr. Jackson? Is Maynard Jackson? Was he mayor?
when I was there before, yeah, it was. But I go down there pretty regularly.
Okay.
So I've seen it transcend from that.
Now, I'm a Howard University alumni, so we have something called the Black Male Initiative. I'm very active in my alumni group, and I kind of related to you explaining your focus on men and boys by you say you cited imprisonment statistics and also a dwindling number of male heads of household. Especially this part, you talked about the head of household needs to be the man.
Mm-hmm.
And as a society, we accepted the fact that it's now women, and we build a focus on helping women get through those years and these changes. But it has to go back to being the head of the household. That's what Louis Farrakhan is saying. That's what, I mean, you know, your celebrities are saying. It needs to be the man, head of household. How do we go back? How do we change that and assume our responsibilities as leaders, supporting partners in heading our own households?
Well, now that is a multi-faceted issue and problem that we have, and we can go back to slavery, and we can go back through the years where they started the welfare and how it was more profitable and beneficial to a woman to not have a man in the household than it is today. But I think overall and all, what we have to do is we have to get back to the foundation and values in which we made it from slavery to where we are now. We have to be able to acknowledge biblical principles or religious or spirituality, however you want to call it, that the man is the head. And then the woman is the neck that turns the head, however they want to say it. But it has to start with men stepping up, taking responsibility for themselves, their families, and their community. And until we do that, now how we do that, we have to have men be invested in the community.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, most of the things, when you go to churches, it's 90% women. But the pastor is a man.
Mm-hmm.
The deacons are there, but how do we take that leadership and make it applicable today?
Mr. Wesson, you've met a lot of people, and I don't know, success is part of getting there today, going to college. Is that a part of the factor? You mentioned religion.
Yes, it is, but I know a lot of people that are extremely successful that didn't go to college. They just had a good idea, a good plan, good people around them. Effective leadership is not being a good leader yourself. Effective leadership to me is having good people around you to make you have the vision come into existence. you know, God always gives you a vision, then he can give you provisions. So he will surround you or send people to you to help you make your dream or your vision a reality.
I like that. I like that. Are you a big digital media proponent? Do you use
I
the
use it.
internet and the Snapchat, the various
Now, I don't do all those Snapchats and
No.
all that Facebook and MySpace. I was looking the other day and I was cleaning out my email box and I had some MySpace stuff in there. I haven't done that probably in about 6 years. But, you know, I stay on top of the digital because I have to in my business, but I don't participate in the Snap boxes or Snapchats or Facebook. Too much drama on Facebook.
Yeah, when you say that, you kind of make me feel old because I'm on the tail end of things. When I went to college, it was like the transition period, you know.
Mhm.
So
From MySpace to Facebook.
no, actually no. MySpace, actually email, email. From writing letters to email. MySpace was maybe 5 or 10 years later.
Mhm.
So don't want to feel too old there. Before we let you go, Mr. Wesson, right down the street there at the call, you know, not too far away. We want to invite you to come back soon. I want to talk about movies, but fall television first. I keep hearing they're bringing Martin back. I'm like, why? Ashanti's going to play Gina. I don't know if they've taped some episodes yet, or I don't know even if you were a Martin fan, but would you watch? The same cast with Ashanti as Gina.
You know, I still watch the old Martins. I think Martin was funnier back then than he is now. So I don't know if I would watch it. I would give it a shot, but chances are I would still want to see the old Martins. I'm an old buff. Martin, Good Times, Sanford and Sons, the Jeffersons. I get kind of worn out and burnt out on them, but I don't know if I would watch it no more.
Yeah,
I
the same
like to
way you get burnt
remember.
out on Jefferson's, I kind of get burnt out on Sanford. But
Well, that's classic.
yeah, but you only so much you can do in the junkyard. But I'll tell you this: Fred Sanford definitely knew his way around the television studio.
He did know that, and he knew his way around the industry. He was just a bad money manager, you know, and I think that was one of the things that hurt him in the end. But it's classic, and I think he died way too young.
Yeah, right in the middle of the royal family.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to that. Now let's talk a little bit about movies. But let me back up. Will Smith is he's following Martin Lawrence's lead and said he might bring back Fresh Prince. I'm like, what's going on? Everybody wants to relive the past, but you know, that was
Those were some good times, I guess.
yeah, definitely, definitely good times, living color times. You wrote a review recently, straight out of Compton, and you personally said that this is the second best hip hop biopic movie ever.
I said to me, it was the second best biopic ever.
Biopic.
Well, I gave it the third. I said it was the best hip-hop movie ever, but the third best biopic.
Now, what class is hip hop movies? When you say hip hop movies, are we talking CB4? Are we talking Mr. Society? Are we talking?
Yeah, you would put those in that category.
Like starting with Jukes, perhaps?
Probably starting with
Or Crush Groove, maybe?
Crush Groove. Crush Groove was like the first real oriented hip hop movie. And then it evolved with that CB4, as you mentioned. But to me, and actually, what was that? It's Hard Out Here on a Pimp.
Hustle and Flow.
Hustle and Flow. That's considered a hip hop movie. I guess any movie that's got a rap lyric in it, that categorizes as being a hip hop movie.
Now, are we saying black biopic, or are we saying biopic period? Janis Joplin, all the way down to, I don't know, Ray Charles?
To me, biopic would be inclusive of everything. But of course, you know, I said Malcolm X, and I think that Denzel in that movie, he was phenomenal. He should have walked away with at least 10 Emmy Awards or Grammy Awards in that movie. Then he had the other movie, American Gangster, where he played Frank Lucas. He was phenomenal in that, didn't even get a mention. I think those are, to me, because I can relate to them because it's about African Americans, but to watch Denzel play that role and get in.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.